Werner, you just watched the film with us all these years later. What's running through your mind? What struck you most profoundly?
Well, tonight it looked like a strange nightmare to me. Like a dream that you never had. And yet it lingers on. And it doesn't have any rules. A nightmare doesn't have logic, doesn't have rules, doesn't have the everyday sort of events.
In your intro, you started to, you set it up as it felt like you were inventing cinema for the first time. And I'm wondering if, thinking back, did it feel like an experiment at that time? Like, did you not know how this was, like, what the film was going to be, or did you have a vision that you felt you could achieve?
Well, I think that this is, until today, I have to invent what cinema is all about. And I do it every day. So it's nothing special for me. But I thought I'm sitting here in the middle of Hollywood Boulevard and all the theaters up, and I really wonder that I have been driven out of town tarred and feathered. Something like this. But I've been completely unafraid with it.
That is, just so true. I know you want to spend our time taking questions from the audience, but I feel we could start just by talking about this idea of hypnosis that you set up. But can you take us back to deciding that the best way to tell this story was to do it under hypnosis, and how it works, like, practically?
Well, it took a while. I tried to ponder how do I stylize all the participants in the story in a way that they behave like in a trance. And all of a sudden I thought, shouldn't they be really in trance? And I engaged a professional hypnotist, and through, at that time, newspaper ads, I asked for people who were willing to participate in some experiment for a movie, for acting in a movie. Of course, it was clearly explained to them, and they were put under hypnosis, because I did not know whether people under hypnosis would be able to open their eyes without waking up. Yes, that's possible. Secondly, can they communicate? Yes, it is possible. So many things under hypnosis actually are possible that do not look outright like hypnosis. And of course, important how slowly you have to bring people back into reality. To wake them up is important, because some people do not take it well, so you have to be quite cautious. And the hypnotist was an unspeakable idiot. He claimed every session, he claimed to the people whom I had invited that there was such a thing like a cosmic aura, and that he, with his special powers, and by dint of his powers of mind, would attract the cosmic aura and radiate it onto subjects. So I said to myself, no, not in my presence. This is not what I'm doing here. And I actually fired him. And then I was alone, so I had to do it myself. So that was that.
Can you share how you hypnotize people? What is your process?
It is speaking, but in a very formalized and intense way. There are certain techniques anyone can learn it. Actually, there's nothing supernatural about it. We only don't know what triggers this switching off of certain areas in our brain. Nor do we know much about sleep. Well, we have knowledge about phases in sleep and all sorts of things, but what triggers actually falling asleep, we do not know. And deeper so, hypnosis, we know even less, and because of that, it is always superimposed with this new age bullshit, violent-based, depraved theories. But it only points out to something that New Age itself is just vile and debased. So I cannot tolerate it when I'm working. And that led to this stylization. And you had to be cautious. It's never good to have somebody long under hypnosis. So sometimes even between two takes, or when we had to change magazine, of course, the film was shot 35mm celluloid. You have to change magazine. I would wake them up. And you can learn it fairly quickly. It's like learning to ride a bicycle. It's a little hard at the beginning, and then once you're fluent in it, in this kind of movement or language, it comes with great ease to some of them. To some of them it does not. When you have, for example, older people who have a very clearly formulated ideas and preconceptions and rituals, they are too inflexible to put them under hypnosis. Nor is it easy, or it's impossible, it shouldn't be done with little children who have a very short attention span, who are very motoric. You have to actually listen to my voice, and you have to look at something I would hold, for example, a pencil, and ask you to look at the pencil. Do not move your eyes from the pencil. So when the eyes are in a fixed position, it is much easier to induce hypnosis. So, and there are people who have a certain talent for it. Others who are not. So it took quite a while to select a cast, and a cast who was stable enough in their psychology, stable enough, and curious enough. What the hell is going on, and what kind of movie is that going to be? And so that's how it happened.
You said pretty early on you discovered that actors could speak to each other both under hypnosis. Can you talk a little bit more about what that was like on set? Did interesting things happen that you didn't expect in that way?
No, they had dialogues. The dialogues are very clearly. Under hypnosis, you can learn by heart. You could learn a poem by heart probably much faster than in normal life. Memory functions very well. Fantasy is functioning very well. So, and language, of course, was also important because most of them speak Bavarian, my first language, Bavarian dialect. I've never made a film in my own home turf in Bavaria, not Germany. I mean Bavaria, where I grew up in the mountains, in the woods. And it's beautiful to see. It's my only film that I made in Bavaria, and many of them speak Bavarian dialect. So that's good to me to hear it all of a sudden. I've almost forgotten that they speak Bavarian. And of course, much of the story goes back to Bavarian sort of legends, or some sort of a Bavarian Nostradamus lived in the Bavarian forest, a cowherd in the 18th century who had prophetic gifts. And he's quite known in this area, and people still speak about him. People still read about his prophecies, And quite a few of the prophecies that you hear in the film are really the prophecies of Mühlers. Here's of the mill, here's the miller.
And so that character who's called Heus in the film, I think he's the only actor not under hypnosis.
It's not in, and you see glass blowers at work.
Yes.
They're not. They're very professional, and you have to understand there's a certain risk because the glass coming out of the furnace has a temperature of 1,400 degrees Celsius. That's, I don't know, 2,000 Fahrenheit or more, and it drips, and you really have to be cautious when you do this work. So it was clear and evident. You just don't do it.
Was the idea of Heus not being under hypnosis to like have a he's the prophet, he's the person that can see reality as it is and the others can't. Do you remember how he interacted with those under hypnosis? Was it a struggle for him to kind of act against people who were like in another place?
Not really. He's a very talented. He was a very talented young actor at this time. I think I made the first feature film with him. He had a big career in German cinema and in German theater. He's become a very famous theater actor, and he's also a good writer. He wrote some very good prose.
I'd love to ask about the scene wrestling the invisible bear. Just can you share where that came from? How did this come about?
I have no clue. It was not in the screenplay. And of course, there's a certain branching out. Not only what you see is not only Bavaria. For example, very early in the film, you see the Niagara Falls, but in a very stylized way. And I filmed it and I projected the Niagara Falls on the small screen, on a screen as small as my hand, my palm, from the other side of the screen, so the texture of the screen is visible. And I filmed from the other side of the screen the projection of the waterfall. So it's very hard to recognize that this is Niagara Falls. Some of it was shot in Alaska, some of it Wyoming, some of it Ireland. Skellig Rock, I just recently worked near Skellig Rock in Ireland for Bucking Fastard. And my company is called Skellig Rock.
Well, let's go ahead and start taking some questions here.
Could we have a little bit more light in the auditorium so that we can see?
What do you guys think? Yeah, we're gonna bring the lights up, right? I got the thumbs up. Okay. Yeah, let's go right here.
Me?
Yeah.
It's an honor. Oh, it's an honor to be here in your presence. You're an incredible filmmaker that has done so many things. But watching this film for the first time, because I've never seen it before, it's so inspiring to see so many of the things you talk about in your documentaries and other films are present in this movie. The theme of humans going straight into danger, even though they're warned about the danger and they seem oblivious to it. How did you latch onto that theme that you sort of put throughout your movies?
Yes, so he's asking about ultimately the theme, which is the end, this idea of humans just willingly going out into danger and having no concern for their well-being. In relation to the rest of your work.
Yeah, in a way, I think, and I always had the feeling I should be in costume on Skellig Rock. Actually, what you see is Skellig Rock, and I should be on this cliff. I had the feeling it was a self-portrait. The only time I have a self-portrait in my film, but somebody else is standing there, and we filmed with a helicopter. Yes, I would be one of those who would row out into the ocean and find out if there's really an abyss at the end of the world. So I'm too curious. And so in a way I see myself in this. Normally I do not see myself in my characters. People say, you must be crazy like Akira the Wrath of God. No, I'm not. I'm very well organized.
Let's go in the back corner.
Mr. Herzog, I remember, I believe it was your master class where you said that you are not a fan of using storyboards. As I remember, you called it a tool for cowardice. So my question is, if you don't use that method of storyboards, before you shoot the movie, do you have any idea of the overall visual structure of your films, or do you just find it as the movie goes along?
Question about storyboards, why I don't do it. I think it's a tool, and I've said it many times, it's an instrument of the cowards. There's a certain necessity when you do complex things on screen with green screen, and on the left side of your screen you see ancient Rome. Of course, you have to be precise. Where do you place your actors? What kind of movements can they do? So I see a point in these kind of sketches. But personally, I see an entire film in front of my eyes as if I were sitting in a screening room and I watched a film playing. And because of that, as I see an entire film, it takes me very, very short time to write a screenplay. So this screenplay took me 4 or 5 days. And normally a screenplay has to take me longer than 5 or 6 days. Whoever takes longer doesn't see it as clearly as I see. And there's no rewrite. And there's no shooting many different angles. There's basically, I'm a one-camera guy and I'm a one-angle guy. And it's until today, although I have much more movement and activity on my screen in all my other films and in this one, I do it normally in one take. I try to shoot in one take, with all the people milling around, and then the camera doing its choreography in the inside of the event. There's a certain risk in it, and for example, completion bond people are appalled that I do not shoot any coverage, or hardly any coverage. But I do it anyway, and I've never failed to finish a film. I've never had a situation where I desperately needed a certain angle and I didn't cover it during shooting. It's never happened. I see the entire film.
Let's go right here. Where do you find the musicians in your film? The musicians in your films.
Well, musicians at the very end is a group, an ensemble of early medieval music. They're real musicians. Thomas Binkley, and I forgot the name of his musical group. Then, of course, off camera, you have Popol Vuh, basically one person, Florian Fricke, with whom I have worked in quite a few films. Most of the instruments that you hear are his own doing. He would play a guitar and he would play all sorts of instruments parallel and then mix it together. There's also something at the very beginning, there's some yodeling, but it's from Switzerland. It's a Swiss yodeling, but very close to the yodeling in Bavaria where I grew up, so I felt very familiar with it. And the musicians in the film itself, I was looking for somebody who played the harp, and I found this harp player. By the way, it was interesting. It was extremely easy to hypnotize him. He was a total talent and played the harp very well under hypnosis, but he was kind of a little bit scared of coming and testing that. And he asked me, can I bring my girlfriend with me? And I said, fine, bring her, but we put her in the far corner of this large room, and I hypnotized the actors. The first one who was hypnotized was a girl back in the corner. But I told her, don't look at me, don't listen to me, don't follow my suggestions. She was the first one who was hypnotized. And then we had a hurdy-gurdy player. It's an interesting character about whom I knew. It was a predecessor of the student revolt, that you had in Paris, in Berlin, in Germany. And of course you had a similar student movement at Berkeley University, free speech movement and riots and things like that. But years before, there were the famous Munich riots. A young man with a hurdy-gurdy was bold enough to sit at the sidewalk and play a hurdy-gurdy and sing songs without even asking for money. He just did it out of joy and making the people feeling good and easy. And somehow police didn't like it and tried to evict him. And then finally they brutally arrested him and beat him. And next night there were riots in Munich. And they burned cars and whatever. And this is a young man, a few years, 15 years later, who plays a girl in the film. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Do you remember any of your cast seeing this film and seeing themselves under hypnosis, what the reactions were?
Well, they were all very curious and found themselves, none of them was embarrassed. None of them, because I felt nobody should feel embarrassed. You have to be careful with that. What do you do? And I have vague memories that they truly liked it. But it's not that I really have to look out to my extras, to my technicians, to my actors have to like the film. That's a strange question. And here in Hollywood you see, oh yeah, we saw the film together and we were delirious. It's almost kind of phony behavior afterwards. I don't like that.
Let's go in the middle, the pink shirt.
I'm curious if you could speak about your interest in the natural world and depicting animals and human interaction with animals, both in your narrative work and documentary work. Where that fascination comes from.
The question is about depicting and working with animals, both in your narrative and documentary work.
Yeah, well, strange. Very strange. I do have animals in practically all my films, and it dawned on me when I put together videos for an art exhibition for various plasma screens distributed in the museum. It should be an art museum, and each one should have some specific kind of vision. One plasma screen would show landscape of the soul. Some of the landscape of the soul are actually in this film here. The racing cloud, this tongue, a river of cloud is actually in this, and various others, landscape of the soul, or for example, madness, or for example, animals. There's so many animals, and I realize, yes, they are important like the dancing chicken at the end of Stroshek, when they do the barn shuffle dance, and nobody can stop them anymore. Or, for example, Akira, The Wrath of God, where the raft is overrun by 400 or so little monkeys, and he grabs one and speaks to the monkey and tosses it aside with his mad ideas about a gigantic empire that he will start now. Or the iguanas in Bad Lieutenant.
Yeah.
Everywhere, they show up everywhere. And in Bucking Faster, they have a very mysterious, strange moment. There's a cave, 2 entrances to a cave, and a very strange, beautiful landscape out there. And 2 sisters, who are the leading characters, are sitting, and they look out into the landscape from this first cave. And they look out, and all of a sudden, a strange stag comes walking in, and walks and walks and looks at them and stops and sniffs at them and looks up. And that's it. And it has no meaning in the film. It's just because I love that animal. And in Bucking Faster, a fox is actually one of the leading characters in the second half of the film. A fox has a real role that determines the flow of the story. But what exactly makes me put these animals in my films, I can't really tell you. I just love them. I love them. And they're always good. They're always good in my films. Always credible. Always good.
Werner, you've teased Bucking Faster a couple times. What more can you tell us about what we can expect from this film?
Well, the film hasn't been published yet, so I shouldn't talk about it. It was actually meant to be in Cannes, at the film festival. Cannes people think it was rejected. No, the opposite happened. Cannes put it in the official selection, and I declined the offer. I did not want to have it playing because Cannes didn't put it in the films in competition. It would have played outside of competition. And I declined because I had the feeling it should be. This is a film that has to be in competition. Not for me, I don't care about competition. I've seen it often enough, and I don't need an award. But we have 2 sisters, Kate and Rooney Mara, who are in a way so exceptional, so unusual. We have never seen anything like that. They should be able to step into an arena where they could compete for Best Actress, but not as 2 persons, but as one. It should be 1 award for both, if they win any award. Wow. So we are making an attempt now with Venice Film Festival. I do believe they will take it. But they will announce their choices, the selection, I think, in mid-July or something like that. Festival is in early September. It will, with all probability, also play Telluride. So you may see it early in Telluride, but we don't have the announcements of the festivals yet.
Thank you for sharing about it. We're so excited.
Yeah.
And we have time for just a couple more. Yeah, let's go here.
So I just, well, hi. Sorry, as an aspiring filmmaker, a big question that I run into all the time is just why? Like, why should I tell this story? So I was just wondering, like, for you, and I mean, you're a big inspiration for me. what about this story of glassmakers in this Bavarian town, like, reached out to you and grabbed you and was like, this is the story that needs to be told?
So the question is about why you tell your stories, and in relation to this film, what about this story? I know you wrote the film, but why you wanted to tell it?
Well, I can't really answer this. I'm a storyteller, and I'm a poet. First of all, I think I'm a writer and a storyteller, and I can tell there's something big, and I see something, and it strikes me. And I think when you're a filmmaker, you shouldn't be afraid to follow a vision, even if the vision doesn't make too clear sense in terms of logic of what should happen in a story. And of course, you have fixed unfortunately, in a climate here in the film industry that has solid norms. You have to work a screenplay in narrative forms of 3 acts, completely senseless form. This film has at least 15 acts. Maybe only 1, I don't know. It's just a disturbed nightmare, beginning to end, and it gets crazier towards the end. So you shouldn't be afraid to follow a vision if you have it. In a film like this, of course, I immediately tried to find financiers for it. For example, Bavarian television. I said to them, this is a film for Bavaria, and it feels like dialect and home. This is your turf. And they said, this is a real bad story. So it was clear I was pretty much alone. So you have to learn for certain things, unless you want to make big event movies in your life. If you want that, go to film school, go to Hollywood, climb the ladder, make a splash with a real good film at a big festival or whatever. So the regular way you should do it. If you are outside of these norms, you have to earn your money for your films, and you can easily today make a feature film, for under $50,000, and it can be movie theater quality. You can make a long documentary, 1.5 hours long, also movie theater quality for under $10,000. It depends, of course, what you're doing. I did a film in Antarctica, and the traveling alone there, the logistics, that's expensive, you know that. And music would be expensive and so on. But you should brace yourself for becoming self-reliant. You will never be independent. I'm not independent either. That's a myth. You are dependent on distribution systems, you are dependent on finances, you are dependent today, E&O insurances, they are the censorship today. They, for example, completion bonds, they are the baggage on your back that cost a lot of money, and they will tell you, no, you cannot do that, because it's whatever not productive for the film, and they will force you to shoot 5 times as much footage as you need, and they will force you to engage 5 times as many people as a crew that you would need and want. So you look out where are the enemies, spot the enemies, and it's the legal obsessions are enemies. Until today, I functioned with a handshake. That's not in all 10 cases, but for example, Marco Capalmo, the editor with whom I work, for years we are working with a handshake. And he always got paid, he always got credit, he always was treated well, and he treats me well. So you have to form people of your of your age group into find the best, form gangs, form rogue cells, form it, and go out and do it. Don't listen to people. Yeah, we can offer you a Oscar-nominated executive producer. God damn it, no. The Oscar-nominated executive producer will only bring trouble. It will only make things expensive. It will only bring an aura of ridiculousness into your project. So it's just a question of courage and vision. Stick to your vision.
Thank you so much.
Best of luck to you.
Thank you.
I think we have time for one final question here. See right here.
Hello. So you said that your creative process, you see the movie in front of you, but you also described yourself as a very curious person. I was wondering if, during production of a movie, your curiosity ever overrode that initial vision, where you thought, "Let me take this into a different direction."
Yes, so the question is about how his curiosity on set it kind of overrides the vision he has, because he sees, as he said earlier, he sees the film business.
Well, it constantly does. Thanks God, otherwise your set would be lifeless. You see, you would make films dead on arrival if you don't roll up your sleeves, let things come. For example, in Bucking Faster, the stag was not planned, was not in the screenplay, but we needed, for example, a fox, and there was an animal wrangler in the countryside, and I went out to his farm, and he showed me around, and then he whistled, and he said, "Do you want to see my stag?" And I said, "Sure, of course." All of a sudden, the stag comes trotting there. It looks at me and sniffs at me, and I hold my hand, and I thought, this stag belongs into the movie. And we were desperately looking for a fox, a baby fox, a fox cub. And we filmed at the time where foxes were born, end of March, mid-April or so. And the fox dens, of course, are abundant in Ireland. And we couldn't get a tiny fox. We announced it everywhere. We announced it in the internet and over the radio. Nobody could get us a fox, a little fox. A grown-up fox, yes. And there was a company that told, an animal wrangler told me, "I can get you a little fox, but only under one condition. You will not ask how I got it." And I said, "I'm not going to do business with you, because I knew he would dig up a fox den, kill the foxes, and bring me one surviving little fox cub." So I said, "I'm not going to do a deal with you." And all of a sudden I'm confronted with the fact that I have a grown-up fox only, whereas the little fox carried a lot of emotional momentum into the film. The grown-up fox only renders mechanical guidelines for the film. And I said, yes, I change it into what is a necessity. Because what I do, a part of that, and that's important for you, you dream big, but do the doable. So, dream big, like moving a ship over a mountain. Please do it if it's doable. Otherwise, you ruin yourself. It's the same thing. Life in a movie comes through the intensity of opening everyone's spirit up to something truly creative. The joy of creating something. And of course, the screenplay is there, and it has in my case, almost all the films, yes, I follow it and I follow the dialogue, but I would change it if necessary. And if you're a filmmaker, don't hang on to your screenplay slavishly. It's harder for you when you're in Hollywood, and there is continuity. And if an actor says half a sentence slightly different, you have to repeat it. So thanks God I never worked with continuity.
Well, Werner, thank you so much for joining us.